So Donald Trump supporters were left stranded at his Coachella rally, invoking total chaos, apparently. Hundreds of Donald Trump followers were left stranded in the California desert after a rally in the Coachella Valley over the weekend. The rally was held at an outdoor venue where temperatures soared to over 100 degrees. Despite the intense heat, thousands of passionate Trump supporters braved the elements to hear dear leader speak. During the rally, some supporters reportedly collapsed because of the stifling heat. Prior to the event, several buses were provided to transport supporters to the rally location. However, after the rally, poorly organized transportation logistics and a lack of basic services left many attendees scrambling to find their way home, with many stranded miles from their cars after the event ended, as reported by the Times of San Diego. Now, as someone who's done IRL shoots, one of the things I learned is you need to figure out what the weather is going to be like. Planning outdoor events is like being in the military. You have to account for everything. What's the weather going to be like? You need to check for any and all equipment, chargers, batteries, everything. The fact that the Trump campaign, which probably hires scores if not over 100 people, have not been capable, are incapable somehow of figuring out how hot it's going to be, right? Which should tell you, okay, it's going to be really hot. Let's do indoor instead. Instead, they just do it. I don't know what's going on over there, but competence seems to just escape this campaign over and over and over again. It's insane. It's literally insane. So prior to the event, several buses were provided to transport supporters to the rally location. However, after the rally, poorly organized transportation logistics and a lack of basic services left many attendees scrambling to find their way home, with many stranded miles from their cars after the event ended, as reported by the Times of San Diego. Videos posted on Twitter show a large number of people waiting in line after the rally. One, filmed from a bus departing the venue, has what appears to be a bus driver shouting to those waiting, telling them that this is the last bus, with another passenger saying, "No more buses, they just got notice." A different video posted by an attendee shows the aftermath, describing it as chaos, with many facing the prospect of an estimated 2-hour walk through the desert to get back to a parking lot, likely without water or shelter. This is not the first time attendees have been left high and dry after one of Trump's rallies. As reported previously by Newsweek, rallygoers were left stranded in the cold in 2020 after a Trump event in Omaha when coaches failed to pick them up. And that's not the only time they've been stranded in the cold either. So, thousands of supporters at a Butler-Pittsburgh airport rally were also let loose into the night on Saturday after the president wrapped up his remarks there. They streamed out to the closing cheers of YMCA, only to find no shuttles waiting to take them back to their cars and no guidance available from Trump campaign volunteers. As supporters spilled out the airport parking lot where they'd waited in line to enter earlier, thousands found themselves spilling over the side of the road and into the street, blocking police cars and emergency service vehicles. Supporters were spotted as far as 3 miles out from the rally site in the middle of a road with no streetlights after giving up on shuttles. The Trump campaign did not immediately respond to a CNN request for comment on the most recent incident. But Tim Murtaugh, the Trump campaign's communications director, called CNN's reporting about the Pennsylvania rally's logistical issues fake news. So this is a grown-ass man, Tim Murtaugh, probably has a college degree, works for a former president, well, at the time, Donald Trump, no, this is 2020. So yeah, this is 2020. So this guy was working for the president at the time, Tim Murtaugh, working for the actual real-life president, his communications director for his campaign, and his response to CNN's inquiries about this disaster of logistics was fake news. Grown men, by the way, grown adults in charge of people's safety respond with fake news when asked about their logistics failures in regards to transporting their supporters. But it gets even more entertaining. A Trump supporter was at the Coachella rally and went on Twitter to complain about it and blame the mayor for apparently orchestrating the entire thing before finally admitting it was not the mayor's fault. Wesley Johnson, who posts himself at the Coachella rally with a MAGA hat on alongside someone else, he even retweets Trump on October 12th saying, "Thank you, California." He's then asked, why did you delete the other posts about being stranded? Now let's see the post he deleted. So Wesley says this: it's 10:22 p.m. The rally ended at 7 p.m. Thousands of people still stranded here waiting for transit back to the parking lots. Something has gone horribly wrong. Someone needs to ask the Coachella mayor if he had anything to do with this. Parking lot is a 2-hour walk. Countless elderly stranded here and can't walk anymore. Now, mind you, we're 4 sentences in and we immediately receive a conspiracy theory. Someone needs to ask if the Coachella mayor had something to do with this. These people are not serious adults. They're not serious adults. Immediately jumping to conspiracy theories. These people's brains are rotted. And this is exactly what this movement is. It is literal insanity. I mean, look, I'm a paranoid guy, but the way MAGA operates is absolutely insane. They just look everywhere for some kind of villain, some kind of plot, some kind of plan, some kind of scheme. It's always someone else's fault. And the funny thing about this is, again, as we just read, Donald Trump's campaign is not somehow or another like, they're well known for logistical failures at rallies. This is not a new thing. But as anyone who watches interviews of Trump supporters will know, Trump supporters are not familiar with Donald Trump as a candidate, as a person. They don't know anything about him. They don't know anything about his campaign. Anyone who knows anything about, Trump's campaign, aka his detractors, because most people who know about all of Trump's happenings and failures and situations are his detractors. His supporters know next to nothing about him. Anyone who knows anything about this guy knows his rallies are notorious for transportation failures. It happens all of the time in the worst of elemental circumstances. Extreme cold, extreme heat, you name it. Donald Trump always finds a way to leave his supporters either burning up or freezing up as he's flying away in, I guess now, Epstein's plane that he left decommissioned. It's crazy. He goes flying away as his supporters are either freezing or burning up or feet tired from walking for hours back to their cars. Somehow or another, Wesley Johnson here, in his mind, believes it's a conspiracy orchestrated by the Coachella mayor and not a logistical failure of the Trump campaign, who responds to inquiries about their failures with shit like fake news. Anyways, he goes on to say, no restroom facilities accessible anymore, no more water, no food, started with 20 buses for escorting people to the rally, and now only 1 bus remains at this point. The buses apparently went home. Not confirmed, but no more buses have shown up in the last hour and a half. Someone find out what happened here. This is not normal and feels nefarious and criminal. Hashtag Trump Rally California. Hashtag Coachella Trump Rally. So he adds the real Donald Trump as if Trump would ever acknowledge any mistake he or his campaign would ever possibly make. He adds this guy named Brick, don't know who that is. He adds Charlie Kirk, who's very familiar with busing people. This is the same guy who bussed people to J6, and then when it turned into an insurrection, deleted his tweets. Matt Gaetz, as if he has anything he could possibly say or do about this. Bongino, not sure what he could do about this. Tucker Carlson, who's too busy slurping up Putin to be concerned with the woes of the plebs. Jack Posobiec making his 15th Twitter account. And what will Tim Pool do about this? Seriously. And then the RSB, what even is this network? Anything I see with R related to a network related to Trump supporters is probably Russian funded and backed. Let's see the rest of what Wesley had to say. So Wesley goes on to say, was just told by a bystander that the sheriff said there's only 1 bus in rotation and the turnaround time for each drop-off is 30 minutes. These poor people are going to be stranded here early into tomorrow morning. How did we go from 20 to 30 buses down to 1? This needs to be, probably he's going to say investigated. 2 buses just drove by. Haven't seen any buses move for almost 2 hours. Someone please reach out to Sheriff Chad Bianco and President Trump to get... Why do sheriffs always have interesting names? This is crazy. And President Trump to get to the bottom of this, as if Trump would ever dirty his hands with figuring out what went wrong at one of his rallies. Y'all delusional. I think something nefarious went down tonight trying to spark a riot. This guy is talking about other people trying to spark a riot as he like spouts insane conspiracy theories about the mayor of Coachella trying to destroy Trump supporters. He goes on to say, everyone's stranded, this is horrible. He then asks JD, what would JD Vance possibly do? What could JD Vance possibly say? It's always a conspiracy. It's always someone else bothering them. They always weaponize their failures against non-Trump supporting people as some kind of attempt to destroy them. It's actually sick. He then goes on to say, massive update. The bus driver just shared with us that all of the fuel stations for the buses were completely depleted around the event and they all had to drive 30 minutes away to get refueled. Let's talk about something for a second. The fact that Wesley never stopped for 1 second to think about the fact that this event, especially since it was outdoors, possibly housed thousands of people. It would stand to reason in a rural area with a limited amount of fuel stations being overloaded with the presence of thousands of people, it would stand to reason that possibly these buses or the fuel stations themselves or both would run out of fuel. This never occurs to him once. It never occurs to him that maybe, possibly, the fuel sources and the vehicles themselves could both be out of fuel. If the distance between the parking lot area and the rally point is 30 minutes, that's a 60-minute drive back and forth. 60-minute drive back and forth, moving hundreds, thousands of people back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. It would stand to reason that maybe these buses could lose fuel and the sources of the fuel could also be out of fuel. Why is that never something he could possibly factor into the equation? It must be a conspiracy theory orchestrated by the mayor. Because there's no way, there's no possible way someone would have exposed the mayor for planning this, and for some reason the mayor would dirty his hands with trying to conspire to get elderly people who support Trump caught up on the road for hours on end, possibly getting them hurt or killed. The mayor of Coachella would dirty his hands with this foolishness, according to Wesley Johnson, a dude whose own Twitter account has him wearing a MAGA hat. This is not a serious adult. He goes on to say it smells like sabotage because a California mayor apparently the mayor of Coachella blasted Trump ahead of the planned rally. So Wesley goes on to say all buses have just been called off. Bus driver just got notified by CHP to stop picking up attendees. What the hell is going on at Coachella? This must be investigated. People are freaking stranded. He begins to post clips of people being stranded. He goes on to say, in my opinion, I think someone tried to create a situation that would possibly spark a riot, even though he just posted prior that it was revealed that the fuel sources, the gas stations, were out of fuel. He still persists with this conspiracy theory. In my opinion, I think someone tried to create a situation that would possibly spark a riot. Everything got out of order very quickly at the exit gates as soon as the rally ended. That sounds like y'all don't know how to behave. Y'all don't know how to exit a rally in a single file line. He goes on to say, I'm happy to say that no one took the bait. Everyone remained peaceful amongst the intense frustration. Sounds like y'all did take bait to act the fool. You said everything got out of order very quickly at the exit gates as soon as the rally ended. What were y'all doing? Jumping up and down, doing dumb shit? Explain that. But the funny thing is, he went on to delete all of these tweets. Everything I'm showing y'all are screenshots of his tweets. He deleted all of them. And you want to know why he deleted them? This dude deleted the tweets because, and we all know why, he deleted the tweets because they make Donald Trump look bad. He, alongside of most of his supporters, probably did not know that Donald Trump's campaign has a long history of not being able to properly transport their supporters. Once it got out that Trump supporters were not being properly transported and taken care of, and people started bringing up other, circumstances and situations where this happened, he deleted the tweets, and his explanation for deleting them is because it was causing drama. It was creating drama, as if accusing the mayor of trying to sabotage the transportation of the event isn't drama fueling enough. So he's asked by this lady, why did you delete the other post about being stranded? He says, I deleted the post because I was hoping some help would come from it, but all it did was cause drama. Many poor people were stranded last night, and it had everything to do with the bus gas stations not having any fuel. The buses had to drive 30 minutes out to find fuel, and many didn't return, and some got stranded themselves trying to find fuel. So apparently these buses don't have GPS. They're giving up on trying to transport you guys after looking for fuel. Probably ran out of fuel looking for fuel. And then the CHP ordered the bus drivers to stop driving. So all around, it seems like a complete logistics failure from everyone involved, besides the mayor. And somehow in Wesley Johnson's mind, this is a conspiracy orchestrated and created for the sole purpose of trying to harm Trump supporters and the reputation of Trump, as though Trump does not already have an established history of doing this. As though Trump does not have an established history of doing this, these guys try to pretend like this is some kind of conspiracy. And this is my main problem. One of my main problems with the Trump movement, the MAGA movement, is nothing can ever just be a problem, an issue. It can never just be just the reality of life. Like sometimes things don't work out, or maybe you shouldn't be attending rallies of a man and a campaign team that does not know how to properly transport their supporters. None of that could possibly be the problem. It must be, and the only possible reason could be that the mayor of California not the mayor of California, that would be a governor, the mayor of Coachella conspired to harm Trump supporters by making sure they were stranded at a Trump rally for miles. It's always a conspiracy. It's always some kind of plot or plan. This is the reason why these people have to be stopped, because no matter how many times they F up, and no matter when they F up, it's never their fault, it's always our fault. It is a situation in which these people cannot be held accountable at all by themselves or by anyone else. The only solution to this problem is making sure they do not win. They cannot win in November. You literally have to vote. You have to show up and vote, because if you don't, this is what we're going to be stuck with. Donald Trump, his supporters, and his campaign staff being incapable of acting in a civilized, orderly, and logistically planned out manner. And then when things go to shit, they point the finger at you, at me, at other people who don't agree with them that have positions of power, and they turn their base further and further and further and further toward anger, violence, destruction, mistrust, and hatred of their fellow American, not because we did anything to them, but because they can never admit fault. That's effectively what's happening here. It is very, very important that we defeat them at the ballot box, because this kind of psychotic behavior where it's never my fault, it's yours, it's going to destroy this country, because Trump supporters don't know how to differentiate between conspiracy theories and the truth. They don't know how. They need help. They don't know how to tell between someone making some shit up and reality. They don't know. And every single conspiracy theory is designed and wired to turn Trump supporters against their fellow American, to keep any and all accountability away from Trump and his team. The only way we can save not only this country, but also our fellow countrymen, is to stop Trump from winning. That's the only way, literally. So if you're watching this, I appreciate it. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and vote, by the way.